The new Invincible episode that came out this week has only been out for a few days, and it's already become the second most popular episode of the show behind the season 3 finale. It's a fantastic episode, and I'm going to talk about exactly why that is in this review. Spoiler alert, it's all because of Thragg. Let's get started. Thragg really showed up this time. After last week's episode, You Look Horrible, I was not very impressed with Thragg as a character. Within that episode, he completely lost. Invincible destroyed his ship, and he and the Viltrumites had to retreat. He didn't really do anything in that episode aside from keeping Argyle's skull safe at any and all cost. He almost came off as pathetic in that episode, and after it, I also wasn't exactly impressed by the voice acting either. This episode proved that last episode was not the real Thragg. At least it wasn't supposed to be a demonstration of his power, as this episode clearly fills that role in hindsight. Thrag's conversation with Nolan in this episode is amazing, as it clearly demonstrates Nolan's motivations during the current show. He wants to protect his family. That's it. Him and Thragg discussing Thetis and if he's trustworthy was super interesting, and I love how Nolan does admit that Thetis might hurt them later. The fight between them is also fantastic, being the first demonstration of Thragg's insane power level in this episode. Him punching Nolan one time and knocking him straight down to Viltrum is so cool, and when we see that Thragg's punch has its own gravitational force, which pulls Nolan in it, it really sells us on his strength. When Mark tries to attack him with a punch and he does absolutely nothing, it's one of the scariest moments in the whole show so far, let alone the episode. And us seeing that demonic looking face when the punch hits really shows that Thragg is the purest form of evil in the Invincible universe.
You are the devil.
So much so that on the inside he looks like some sort of demon. It's one of the coolest frames in the whole show. Him knocking out Oliver in one shot after all of the talk Oliver was saying earlier in this episode about how Thragg wasn't that big of a threat was definitely predictable, but not without terror. And I love how we don't know if Oliver survived the hit until the end of the episode. The flashback during the opening of this episode is fantastic, as we get our first look at Emperor Argyle in the show in a scene that wasn't even in the comics. And seeing his relationship with Thragg as well as his assassination at the hands of Thetis sets up those two characters and their rivalry later in the episode. Finally, Thragg's visceral and emotional reaction to Viltrum being destroyed and him immediately killing Thetis afterwards is one of the most shocking moments in the episode. It's amazing. Him then beating up Mark and Nolan almost to death is his scariest scene, as it fully demonstrated that at this point Mark and Nolan don't have a chance at beating him. Him letting Mark and Nolan live is questionable, especially Nolan, considering Nolan is one of the strongest Viltrumites. Him wanting to preserve his species being one of his main motivations does make this work, but intelligence-wise, it is questionable, right, at least to me. And the ending cliffhanger with Mark realizing he's gone to Earth is insanely intense. It's one of the best cliffhanger endings in the show, up there with Season 3 Episode 6 and Season 3 Episode 7's cliffhangers. Overall, Thragg is the second best aspect of this whole episode, as it proves that he is nowhere near the fraud that we were all claiming him to be last week, and he makes for one of, if not the best villain on this show so far. The real best aspect of this episode isn't Thragg, however, it's the destruction of Viltrum, as it makes for one of the more shocking moments in the episode, and it's, in my opinion, the best scene within the episode. The heroes realizing that they can't beat Thragg is certainly scary, and them getting the idea to destroy Viltrum is really cool. Space Racer was already really cool during the fight, as his space gun is OP and gives the good guys a major weapon to use against the Viltrumites. His role at the front using the gun to push through the Viltrum planet itself is really cool, and Thetis, Nolan, and Mark following behind is great. Us seeing the surface of Viltrum itself as it gets destroyed is an amazing showing of scale for the scene and makes it so much better. Thetis and Nolan beginning to burn up as they travel through makes the scene that much scarier. The two separate shots of us slowly seeing Viltrum break from the inside out are some of the coolest shots in the episode. Seeing all of the characters' reactions to it, including Alan and the other Viltrumites, is nice, and Thragg's reaction is one of the best moments character-wise in the episode. The emotion in this scene is great, as Thetis and Nolan are destroying their own home planet, which they lived on for many years. Thragg's reaction, like I said before, is amazing, and seeing him kill Thetis right after is one of the craziest moments in the episode, and it pays off the flashbacks in the opening, as this is exactly what they were setting up. Thragg finally getting vengeance on Thetis and saying, "Emperor Argyle, you are avenged," is one of his better moments, and following that up with him chasing down Nolan and Mark is amazing. And like I said earlier, the ending cliffhanger is great too, and sets up the plot in the finale to be super interesting. Along with the moment with Mark yelling at all the Viltrumites that he killed Conquest, which is really cool for him. Battle Beast was great in this episode, and him being part of the fight made for some pretty good action. Thetis was great in this episode, both with him destroying Viltrum as well as his death being some of the best parts of the episode. Overall, Don't Get a Rash is one of the... Wait. What? Overall, Don't Do Anything Rash is one of the top 3 episodes of this whole show so far, to the point where, in my opinion, it's only really behind the Season 3 finale and the Season 1 finale in terms of quality. And even then, I'd say it and the Season 1 finale are pretty equal quality-wise, to the point where I'd give them the same rating out of 10, 10.8. It's a borderline flawless episode of Invincible and of television in general. It's everything I expected the Season 4 finale to be, and while it isn't the actual finale, it does make for a great setup to that finale, with its own great cliffhanger. It's the best episode of the season so far, and is significantly better than the previous 10 out of 10 this season, that being episode 5, and I highly doubt the season finale is going to beat it in that regard. It's incredible, one of the best new television episodes I've seen in a while.